9 anime endings that ruined everything. An epic anime needs an epic ending too, but not every anime has the pleasure of closing with a bang. There are incredible anime with endings so disappointing that they tarnish the entire series. Come with me, and I'll show you all these anime with endings that stained the whole show. Folks, who here doesn't love a memorable and impressive ending? Everyone loves that. And everyone watches anime, reads books, watches movies, series, cartoons, and even listens to music to see the endings and be surprised, moved, and even more in love with the whole thing. But not all of them end with that epic, memorable, incredible, phenomenal ending with fireworks to crown everything. Everyone here failed to do that. Some ended without any emotion, with sudden endings, endings that made no sense, or even with endings so bad that they needed to be corrected with a new adaptation. So get ready to see one of the worst anime endings in history. Don't forget, of course, to subscribe to the channel, activate the notification bell, and give a like so you don't miss anything and help the project grow. Let's go! Berserk Man. The ending of Berserk wasn't bad, but it was extremely heavy and uncomfortable to watch. Guys, the story was dark throughout the anime, with extremely brutal stuff and showing inhuman things, especially with Casca. What that girl suffered is beyond words, and in the end, she suffered again. Guys, Griffith provoking Guts in the lowest way possible, which was by using Casca in a completely inappropriate way, leaving Guts furious, so much so that he even tears off his own arm to try to get revenge on his former ally. But since Guts couldn't properly get revenge on Griffith, the end of the anime left a very bitter taste in the mouth, turning the stomach upside down. Not to mention that this one from 2016 didn't even come close to being as good as the one from the 90s. It fell way short. Akame ga Kill. The Akame ga Kill anime was on a really good track, almost deserving a beautiful 10, but then comes the ending and drops the grade to a modest 5. Guys, the pace of the anime's ending didn't work out well. Very rushed, with gigantic leaps in the story to reach the conclusion of everything. It seemed like they had to solve everything in a minimal time frame and ended up bulldozing everything, skipping parts of the manga, making everything too simplified and rushed. Not to mention that the final fight between Akame and Esdeath lacked any emotion or real stakes because of this rush they put on and ruined what could have been a much more epic ending, Soul Eater. Imagine a confusing ending where once again they tried to make an original ending for the whole thing. Man, if you want to adapt a story that hasn't ended yet, then sit down with the writer and get some ideas he has for the ending, so you don't do these absurd things. Guys, in the end, Maka saved the day with a punch she pulled out of I don't know where, supposedly representing the power of friendship and courage. Man, they took this solution from the same place Maka took that punch. You know where it was from, right? Sword Art Online. The ending of Sword Art Online had everything a finale shouldn't have. Guys, it was a finale without a single ounce of emotion, all kind of random and bland, a complete disappointment. All the characters abandoned the emotions they had throughout the entire anime. Asuna turned into a fragile and passive person, ceasing to be a brave girl who would give her life to help those in need and never leave anyone behind. The worst was what happened to the villain Kayaba. They revealed that he had no motivation at all for what he did, and nothing justified the murderous scheme he created. There's nothing more messed up than a villain with no motivation. Oh yeah, there is. The ending of this anime, The Future Diary. Everyone loves a sequel, but only when the cliffhanger is well done, and The Future Diary's ending cliffhanger didn't even come close to that. Guys, everything was going great. All loose ends were getting answers, but then comes the end with a mega unnecessary cliffhanger. This cliffhanger showed that 10,000 years later, a new diary game began, leaving everyone confused. And the worst part was that the answer to this cliffhanger only came a few years later in The Future Diary, Redial. And that left the ending without rhyme or reason, forcing you to watch the whole sequence to understand. Dragon Ball GT was another anime that faltered in the pacing of things, and with an ending that was very disconnected from everything else. Guys, when it enters the Arc of the Dragons, Everyone thought that there would be the great shine of GT, and in a way, it was. But that ending of Goku sacrificing himself to save the planet was very abrupt. It was like a sudden drop. Everyone was expecting more development for the ending, and then suddenly, bam, it's over. Man, the beginning of GT was already kind of sleepy, and this ending was very dry, which didn't please a lot of people, you know? Maybe that's why it didn't become canonical. Full Metal Alchemist. The ending of Full Metal was bad for one thing only. They made an original ending for the anime. Guys, when they started to adapt the story for anime, the manga hadn't ended yet, and they didn't want to wait. They bet on an original ending, but it didn't work out at all. Especially later when Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood came out, which used the manga's ending to be more faithful, and it crushed the other ending. It's worth watching the anime, as long as you do one of the following options. Watch it all, and don't look at the manga's ending, or watch until the end. Stop watching, and read the manga's ending. Only then, you won't be dissatisfied. Neon Genesis Evangelion. What can I say about an ending that, to make sense or be good, had to have two other works come out to make the public understand? But even so, this ending was terrible. Guys, in a mecha fighting anime, action going wild, explosions after explosions, more explosions than Michael Bay's movies, and then comes an ending with cheap philosophy. That doesn't work. So much so that Death and Rebirth, the end of Evangelion, and even a movie came out to make the ending better. It made me understand that this ending was pitiful and needed to be much better to please. Claymore, oh Claymore. Why did it have to have such an abrupt ending like that? Man, it was going so well, with the warriors killing the monsters, with an intriguing story. And then it gets to the end, and nothing has justification, and everything is very rushed and thrown together anyhow. Guys, the final episodes of Claymore go through a ton of content, but none of them justify anything. Instead of giving explanations for things, they put in an inexplicable cliffhanger, which left everyone with a feeling of not having a reward for watching the anime to the end. You kind of feel like you wasted your time watching Claymore, even though it's a cool anime.